There we go. Good morning. Happy another bright and sunny Tuesday. The weather is getting a little bit warmer today, and we're in April, which is awesome. Thanks for joining us again for our next Tea with the Team. Today, our focus is going to be on CAASPP testing. It's coming. Or hooray, I don't know, because that does denote the end of the year for some people. So sometimes we celebrate that. And then as we get to the end of the year, we are also going to get ready to do our elective requests for our current 6th and 7th graders coming and staying at Shibuya. So those are our two topics. We're just going to jump right in. We appreciate our parents who are joining us today. Feel free, we do have the Q&A and the chat if you have questions, or you can unmute yourself and just ask us if you have a question. We will also pause to get questions at different points during the presentation. But let's go ahead and start off with CAASPP testing, this really important assessment in California.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ms. Sornellis. I'm the 7th grade assistant principal, and CAASPP stands for the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress. So we're going to give you some really cool tips and tricks to get your son or daughter ready for this test, and we're excited. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Miss Anderson Chafee. I'm an 8th grade assistant principal here at Shibuya. So why do we even give children the CAASPP, right? Not just we, but right, California. It's one data point that helps educators assess or understand where a student is, or where a child is growing in their education process, right? We know that it's just one data point, though, amongst many that help us educators and parents understand how our children are learning and growing. Please keep in mind, right, that this is not a test that you can, study for overnight and get ready for. It's a cumulative test from all the information that a child has learned that year. So I'm just going to go ahead and read over the slide that we have here, make sure I've hit all those points for you. We are a family and school partnership, right, in educating your children. It's definitely a partnership and an investment in your child's success. Given the disruptions to learning over the past year, it is more important than ever for you to have a complete picture of where your child is academically and how the pandemic may have impacted your child's learning. In addition to the report cards, right, and this is why I'm saying it's just one data point. This is one piece in addition to the report cards, class tests, assessments, projects, ongoing learning and observations of your own to pretty much give you a global picture of where your child's progressing over this past year. You can use these score reports to better understand where your child is excelling, growing, or perhaps needing more support. So it's just another tool for us to understand how your child's doing at this point.
So what's on the assessment? Students are tested in the following content areas of math, ELA, and for 8th grade students, they also take the science tests. So additionally, our 7th graders, since they're getting a break from science, they complete the physical fitness test in PE. That consists of, but not limited to, the mile run, the push-ups, pull-ups, and a few other exercises, and then you will get those results in the summertime. So how can our students prepare for these tests? Our kiddos start in elementary school taking the CAASPP. So our schedule will be in May, which is right around the corner. we will be on an adjusted schedule. It's similar to iReady. And the reasoning behind that is we give them a large block of time to complete these assessments. And then they do see all of their 1st through 6th period teachers for the rest of the day. But it's a shorter amount of time. So students will.
Ms. Ornelas, just
Yes.
to clarify that statement, our bell schedule does not change in terms of it is still an 8:20 start time to a 2:30 end time.
Yes.
What changes is how long their periods are in order to meet their testing requirements and give students adequate time to complete the tests.
Thank you so much. I know when they're here for, so I skipped over that part. My apologies. So the students will test in the morning. And as always, attendance and being on time is super important. Whether it's a testing day or a regular day, we love to see them here each day, right when we start school. So some of the materials that the students will need are headphones, which they will all get a set of headphones. However, I am also a mom. I know some students like their own things. If they'd like to bring in their headphones, they can. But a set of headphones will be provided for them. And then this part is super important because every student is so different. We would like them to come with an independent activity so that they can keep themselves occupied when they do finish the test. And, you know, student A may finish in 45 minutes. Student B may need 55 to 65 minutes, right? And we want to honor all of our students. So a book, something to color, they will not be able to be on the computer once they're done. So that's why that piece is really important. So they're not just sitting there, because we don't want that for any of our students. So in terms of test prep, before, we would like them, of course, to use the restroom and practice positive affirmations. So the positive affirmations is something our students, this is not going to be foreign to them. We do these before our iReady testing. We do these sometimes. Unfortunately, our world is what it is. And when there is a tragic event, sometimes we bring these type of positive affirmations in for our students during advisory. I can do this. I got it. It's one test. I'm ready to go. I'm going to rock this test, whatever gets them in a positive frame of mind to move forward and do well. So during the test each day, please ensure that your child eats breakfast and arrives just a little bit early to school in terms of we want to make sure they're here on time. So I can take one thing off your plate because they can get breakfast here at school. If they arrive at 8 o'clock, they can go through our lunch lines and get something to eat before the test. So after, we also would like them to participate in a post-test calm, just like that wasn't so bad, right? The opposite of our affirmations in like, oh, okay, we're done. Just take a moment, take a couple breaths, and then go about their day. Because this test is broken into sections. So they have a few days of testing, and we'll get to that in a bit. But it's important that they just stay in a good space the whole time.
And the links that are on this slide deck will be shared out with families so you can take a look at some examples of positive affirmations and ways to do a post-test calm. Those practices, like Ms. Ornella said, we try to do those with our students through the iReady diagnostics. But we also think that it is important for students to practice it at home so that this becomes a ritual habit for them so that when they get in those testing moments, it becomes automatic behavior, not something that they have to think about in the middle of the test or after the test.
So mental health and preparation. So I mentioned already once, and I will probably say it again. Every student is different, right? I have my own children, and one is like, I'm ready. A test is a test. I'm going to do the best I can, and I'm going to move on. And then I have my son, who this online practice and training tests, that's linked, just like Dr. Doxy mentioned. And these are provided by the state, and they're practice tests that your child can get some online practice of what the test questions are going to look like, right? How they're framing this. So that takes a lot of the worry out of what they're going into, right? When you have a state test, it builds up a little bit of anxiety for a lot of our students. So to be able to see what this looks like is super beneficial for our students. Our ELA department has always taken some time in class to kind of go over these tests too. But doing it at home, and some of you may get, we did this in language arts. Well, do it for me, right? Have those conversations. You're able to see what's on the test, so you know what your son or daughter is doing. So the next part.
So just looking at again, when you click that link, it goes to this website. The students need to click on that student interface piece. And they are logging in as a guest user in a guest session. Otherwise, they don't have any information to log into the system. They click sign in, and then it's going to go through some prompts on the screen. They need to select their grade level, and then they'll be able to select a test to practice in. Ms. Ornelas, do you want to talk a little bit about the different tests? There's a performance test, there's a practice test. Just speak a little bit to those different assessments that they might want to click on.
Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna wait till Dr. Doxy
Sorry, I
stops
stopped scrolling.
I'm blinking over here. All right, so there's the ELA performance. You see it's 1 of 99. So on that portion of the test is all the grammar questions, all of the basic ELA quick answer is what I call them, multiple choice. Like there are for the 7th grade performance matters. Is that down more, Dr. Doxy? There is a portion of, that's okay. There is a portion, I'll speak to it, that is another layer of the ELA test. And that has like short answers where they are writing. And it will give them either something to read and then ask them a couple questions, and then they write based on that, or it gives them a topic to write about. They've done both. And then you'll see here on the math performance tasks, there is one portion, just like I mentioned, where it's multiple choice and you're choosing the answer. There's thank you, Dr. Doxy, the math performance task is more of you are going through your problem solving each set. So it's one question, but there's several steps in it that you have to go through each one and answer, right? So it's shorter compared to the math practice tests because it only has one question, but within that question are several parts that the students have to go through. So that is the difference between those two tests in regards to language arts and math. For our 8th graders, they do take, go ahead and scroll, Dr. Doxy. They do take the science, and that's only for our 8th graders. And there's practice for them as well. Somewhere. There we go.
Oh, that's the 7th grade, so we have to click on
So
it.
we have to click on 8th grade. There we go.
Yes.
and it will pop up. Here we go, right here. And you'll notice that one has both this one, multiple choice, this one similar to the math, whereas there's one and then there's different parts of it. So be sure when you practice with your child, you are clicking on both because they are different.
Cool. One other thing in terms of just that practice test, it's not only about practicing the test questions, as Ms. Hornella said, it's also practicing their use of that interface. Students are used to using the Chromebooks. They are used to navigating through different windows, but the test portal is a little bit different. It's specific to the testing window, and it looks a little bit different than just opening up a Google page. So they need to be able to understand how the interface works, what all the buttons mean, how they get different buttons, calculators, if they're allowed to use them at different points on the test. They need to become familiar with those features. So doing those practice tests also helps them become more familiar with that interface, and therefore lowers that test anxiety as well.
And they will also get practice logging in their ELA class. And the teachers also go over what is called the dashboard that has these tools, these universal tools that any student can use. That includes the calculator on there, so they'll know how to access it. So that's not going to trip them up during the test. Like, where's the calculator? It says I could use a calculator, but I can't find it. They practice that in class to know exactly where that toolbar is. Another thing here at Shibuya and throughout Evergreen is mental health. We want our students to reduce their anxiety, to be able to stop and take that moment that they need. Dr. Doxy, if you can bring it up. There is a stop technique, and you can click on this, and it just, so you just stop and pause, take a breath, take a moment, keep going. Sometimes you hit a roadblock in testing, right? You're just stuck. So we like for our students to practice how to get unstuck. Take a breath, keep going. And just move forward to the next question.
And as Ms. Ranella said, there is a link there as well. It goes to this webpage from Psych Central. But again, it's really just practicing those strategies and having your child practice them, or you practicing them with your child. They're not just reserved for test taking. Sometimes we get overwhelmed in life, or things are happening, and we all need to take a mindful moment. So that stopping is just tell yourself it's okay to take that moment. It doesn't mean the situation is changing or has gone away, but you have to shift your attention in order to help yourself to process. Take that breath, being mindful, breathing in slowly, breathing out slowly. And then the observation is really like, okay, let me take an assessment. Can I recognize what my emotions are? And helping your child recognize those emotions as well. We often just use those surface level feelings of I'm happy, or I'm sad, or I'm angry. And those don't always denote exactly how we're feeling. So making sure that you're practicing or having your child practice with you, what is their emotional state, or what are they feeling in their body? Is there a shoulders tense? I tend to lift mine up. That's where my stress goes. So can I put that down? Or my hands clenched right into a fist? That shows anger or anxiety and stress as well. So taking a moment to observe where they are at, and continuing to breathe to try and release that tension. And then when they're ready, to go ahead and continue with the test. And also reminding your child that it's okay for them to do this during the test. They can start off before breathing. If they are getting anxious during the test, pause. And the test also allows students to pause their test for a moment. No one is watching. It is okay to take care of yourself and your mental health in those moments. And then when you're done, again, to just take a moment to breathe at the end of that test and relax. So good things, good technique, and super easy to remember. We see stop signs everywhere. So we can all continue to practice that technique, testing or not, and with your children, or even by yourself. It's a great technique to have.
All right, so another idea or another fun fact we can share with you today. And this happens behind the scenes, right? And this isn't something that parents will typically have the information right up front. It's something that teams do or create together, and that's something that's accommodations, right? And some students may require additional support, and that's through perhaps creating an individualized education plan, or perhaps your child has created with a team of teachers and specialists here, and that's a 504. Now, a 504 is something that you'll have worked with your pediatrician, and then partnering with here at our school, the academic counselor, and then something's created for you. If that's a support plan that your child has, what Evergreen does, and we actually spent some time working on it yesterday. Miss Ornelas was fabulously making the magic happen behind the scenes, and that all those accommodations that have been developed through those two different programs, or another avenue, are embedded or added to the test. So we have administrative privileges to go in to the system without telling you all the different names. It gets a little confusing. We can go in and add those accommodations that have been developed for your child to ensure that they have access and a comfortable testing environment as well. We ask that the children already know those accommodations, right? They've already been utilized them in their classes, and teachers are already aware, right? So it's a team decision that has taken place long before this test even comes up, right? It's not a last minute, we're going to develop these accommodations and click those buttons behind the scenes, right? It's something that your child has already been using for quite some time. And then they also have those accommodations for the test.
All right, so fast forward, we go from accommodations to test results. So, excuse me, I'm sorry. The results are reported in the summer to our families. You will get that at your home residence. And we just want to remind you to use these score reports to better understand your child's strengths and areas for improvement for the upcoming school year. So when we come back in August, you would have already received your state testing results. So what are they good at? What are they struggling with? What do we as parents need to keep an eye for at home? So there is a link here at the bottom. Dr. Doxy, if you'd click it for me.
Oh, did we lose my screen?
We did.
Okay, let me try that again.
No worries. Great job. All right, so this will take you to this Starting Smarter CAASPP website that has so much information.
And I'm just going to throw in great information, because this is where we took that first reason why we're testing from. We give
Right.
credit where credit is due, but it really does have some great info to share.
And if you will scan down for me, Dr. Doxy, it also has, which is an area for you to understand the score reports in areas, right? So you could select an area here. We'll go ahead and click on ELA and math. And then it tells you the ELA performance areas and the math performance areas. So this is where you'll be able to see all the different domains. But this on the left is what you will get in the mail. So it gives you an overall, and this is page 1. So if you see, and I only know because I'm a mom, my eyes are not that good, but it says page 1 of 4, right? So this is your first page, and then it will go on to the next page and explain to you what the overall ELA levels were in the different domains, and then it explains math. And it will tell you if you click on math for me, Dr. Doxy. Thank you so much. So these are the domains, and it'll tell you how your child did in each specific area. So as a family, you can see, like, let's say your son or daughter is really struggling with just basic multiplication. So they understand the concept of getting through and finding X. They're a little slower than you would like. Well, then that gives you your why, right? They're still processing because they're struggling with basic multiplication. And that's just a quick example. But for the ELA portion, you can see how they're doing with comprehension, how they're doing with their writing, with research, being able to find things in text and support it with their own reasoning. So those are all things that you'll be able to see through these test results. Also, I'm telling you, this website, take a few minutes. It's so great. So you can select a subject, you can select a grade, you can select an area. So even if you have younger children, this will work for them too. We're giving you all kinds of cool tips and tricks today. So then it breaks it down. Dr. Doxy's one step ahead of me. Problem solving and modeling data analysis.
So
Good job,
exciting.
Dr. Doxy. We are a good team. So you'll be able to use this information below to gain a deeper understanding of what your child has mastered, and then the areas that you really need to kind of focus in on. This is always great to have when you see that there may be a struggle in class, because this is the information that gives you your why, right? And like Miss Anderson Chafee mentioned, it's just one data point, but this gives you a lot of information to kind of just look above and beyond what they're doing in each subject matter. And these are some examples of the questions.
Yeah.
It also gives you, if you go up 1 second, Dr. Doxy, thank you, because I mentioned when you speak with the teacher. Come November, we're taking you through the whole year. We started at the beginning of August. Now I'm fast forwarding to November when we have parent-teacher conferences. This is a guide for you and gives you lots of tips and tricks about talking with the teacher. And, you know, you are your child's #1 advocate. We're here to support you, but ultimately, you are it for them. So this gives you a lot of guidance in how to have these conversations so that your child's getting everything they need from their education.
Okay, I will go back.
Thank you. And if you listen to one thing we're saying during this meeting, go to this website. We're just showing you a little bit of it, but it is very, very valuable, and you'll thank us later. All right.
Oh, before we do that, are there any questions then about CAASPP testing? And then we'll move forward to topic 2. We're good at wait time.
We so are. And truly, we feel you're in great hands with that website, because if you think of a question, of course, you could always email myself, Miss Anderson Chafee. But it gives you a ton of information. So it is a very good bookmark that for younger children and for your middle schoolers.
All right, I see no questions, so we'll go ahead and move to topic number 2, CAASPP testing coming up. Again, April, just a good time to prep your child for those conversations about, and just talk with them about what their experience is and how they can alleviate any stress or anxiety related to the test. There's no studying for it, it is do their best, and that's all that we can ask of them. And so with this move towards the end of the year comes
Drum roll, please. So for the 2023-2024 request for electives. So it is a big deal, just huge, giant deal. I've learned this coming to middle school. So these elective requests, of course, are for all of our current 6th and 7th grade students. We will wrap up our 6th grade visits tomorrow. We have our last 2 schools coming to join us. After we finish that up, we are currently in the process of getting everything ready. Each 6th grader that is going to be a Shibuya Colt will receive a folder with all kinds of goodies for mom and dad in terms of information. Also in there, it'll have your PTSA registration. Join us, we need you, and we're super excited. That was a minor little plug for my PTSA. Also in there will be directions for these electives. So the elective window, request window, my apologies, will open in May. And then we have a course description that will be shared electronically with all of our students and families. So you will get this in several different ways because we like to cover our bases. So it will be listed on our website that you can click. There you look for a banner and it will say incoming 6th graders. Our 7th graders are here, so we get that to them a little bit differently. But it's on our website. It will be sent out to the students and also talked about for our 7th graders in advisory class. So this year we are taking a risk, like we tell our students. We are going to be piloting an online registration via PowerSchool. Cross your fingers and your toes. We're keeping ourselves together, everyone, because we are so excited for this to happen because it is just going to be, when it works perfectly, because I'm putting it out there right now, it is going to be more efficient. It is going to allow you as parents to see things a bit quicker. And the students are basically putting what they would like, their top 4 choices, into PowerSchool. And then from there, we assign classes. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Duxie to give you a little bit more information on that piece.
Yeah, so this is, thank you, Ms. Ornelas, a new process and access that we have in PowerSchool that we are, again, so excited about. We think that this will be a lot easier to do because all students have access to their PowerSchool information. Parents also have access on Parent Portal. And to be able to select your classes within PowerSchool just eliminates any of the issues regarding links or permissions, making sure that my child submitted a form and did not get I did not approve what their elective choices are. And so then I need to contact Ms. Ornelas or Ms. Anderson Chafee or Ms. Fernandez about changing those elective requests. So this sort of eliminates some of those issues that we've had historically. and will give you as parents clear access to what the student is seeing in PowerSchool to select their courses. There will be a window of time when this will be open. So students, even if they were to quote unquote submit, you still have time to go back within that window and make any changes. Should there be some family conversation about those elective choices, which we highly encourage. So again, it is just streamlining and opening up a little bit more visibility with families as to what that elective process will be. The course descriptions, again, are going to be sent or shared out electronically. They will not be currently in PowerSchool. So please make sure that you are taking a look at those course descriptions before we open up that window to select elective choices. The elective choices, the plan is currently for them not to be in like a first, second, third choice. It is just pick your elective choices and then one of those will be assigned to you. As you look at those course descriptions, it will be important to also pay attention to which courses are for 8th grade only versus open to 7th and 8th grade. And also important to look at what are year-long courses versus semester courses. So please make sure that you are reading thoroughly with your student through all of that information as it comes out later this month and early May when that window opens. One additional piece related to those course descriptions and elective requests, we do have a couple of electives that require an additional, because we get so many kids who want to join, and they are specific programs supporting students in different ways. We do have additional applications specifically for AVID, which is only for 8th graders, and our leadership class, which is for 7th and 8th graders. So those links to those separate applications will also be shared with you. They will not be in PowerSchool. So if your child selects AVID or leadership in PowerSchool when we open up the window, they will also have to complete a separate application form as well. And if they do not, they are not going to get into that class. So please, again, make sure that you are reading through all of the instructions that are sent home and all of the information regarding elective requests. We try to be as clear and transparent as possible, especially with these new processes that are put in place. We want to make sure that students have every opportunity to take the classes that they would like to. Any questions about elective requests? Beautiful. Well, we are heading towards the end of the year. We are in quarter 4. And so we only have one more tea with the team left with us to end us off this year, and that will be in May. And that one we will be talking about some of the year-end events, including promotion and other things to look forward to. Your students did receive an expectations form yesterday that went home that needs to be signed and returned. That also goes over some of the exciting privileges and opportunities that students have to participate on events, in events on campus. So please take a look at that, but we'll go over more specifics next month in May. I can't believe it's almost here. Oh my goodness. We wish you all a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for coming and watching. If you are watching online later on, we appreciate, again, this participation, and happy spring break next week. And then we will see you back for another and final tea with the team in May. Have a great day.
Bye.